My name's Phillip Martin. I'm senior investigative reporter here at WGBH. There are a number of problems or conditions, if you will, that you have to deal with in caring for someone who's older. It's exacerbated by distance. My mom lives in Detroit, and for me to take care of her means, of course, traveling from Boston to Detroit. That's an hour and a half flight. Quite often a 3-hour flight if you have to stop into a place like Pittsburgh, which I often do. But it's worth it. She's 85 years old. Obviously, she's not going to be here a whole lot longer. Luckily, my sister is there. She's the primary caregiver. And my brother-in-law, I have another sister and a brother there. They're not as helpful because they're dealing with their own medical problems at a relatively young age. But that's certainly one issue. Let's cut to another issue, which is that of venue, where my mom is. She's now in a assisted living facility, and it's great for her. It's paid for in part by Medicaid, but that is something we weren't able to get easily because we had to essentially comb through records in the South, where my mom was born. You would be shocked of how many records are missing for people who were born into sharecropping, for example. It's just hard to get records, and so we had to go through all types of data and information in southern Georgia in order to have my mom qualify for Medicaid. And a lot of that has to do with dates and her father's date of birth, her mom, where she was first married in Georgia, so on and so forth. And so we were finally able to take care of that. But before that, she was in an assisted living place, which proved to be very dangerous because they had young people moving in there, relatively young people who were addicts. And they brought a lot of their habits with them. And so even walking around this assisted living place was problematic because you had people who, again, they brought their habits to this site. And some were inebriated, some were high. And my mom's a Jehovah's Witness, so you can see where that doesn't go too well. So we had to move her from that facility to another facility where she's a lot happier. But she's not. She doesn't always know she's happy. Why? Well, because she also suffers from dementia. It hasn't been officially diagnosed as Alzheimer's, but the doctors believe that she's on the cusp of some type of dementia that exists somewhere between what we've always thought of as elderly forgetfulness dementia to full-grown Alzheimer's. Again, I'm no doctor, but I know that at times when she doesn't know who she's talking to, that it's not just a question of dementia. What she maintains in all of that, curiously, is her sense of humor. She's funny. When she has it all together, she can be hilarious. She remembers jokes from the 1960s and 50s. She's a huge fan of Carol Burnett, so she will do Carol Burnett imitations at 85 years old, and then she'll forget that she did them. So that's that. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes that can be funny, but my mom is an extraordinary human being. Someone who, if not for her, I don't know where I'd be. Of course. Well, I try to spend 24/7 with her when I'm there. Of course, that's not always possible because when someone is on a loop, when their memory is constantly going back to 3 minutes before, and you're hearing the same thing over and over again, that becomes difficult. Not just because it's monotonous, and not just because it's okay, I've heard this already, Mom, but because it's painful to see your parent in that condition, and it's emotional, of course. But it's important for me to go home as often as I can. And I don't go home often enough, to be honest with you. Again, cost is one consideration, but also it's emotionally draining to be there. But at the same time, my sister again is the primary caregiver, and the onus is almost totally on her and my brother-in-law, and that of course is unfair. I try to assuage that somewhat by sending money home, but that is ameliorative. That's not being in the thick of it. That's not contributing in the way that I feel I should contribute. So there's some guilt there, of course, and also a very practical consideration that my sister and brother-in-law can't do it all. And they do need relief from time to time. They need a real vacation. So that is, so what spurs me is the fact that I know I need to be there. And also I know, practically speaking, my mom is not going to be there much longer, unless, of course, someone comes up with some magic pill. And we don't expect that anytime soon, do we? You know, that happens with my mom too. She lights up when she sees me, and she will say, "Wow, my Philip's here, my Philip's here." And but then again, sometimes I will call her 4 weeks later, and she'll say, "Are you in town?" And of course, I'll say I'm not. Or she'll say, "I'm glad I saw you yesterday," and of course, she hadn't seen me yesterday. But it's good that she knows who I am. That's the main thing. So many people are going through the problem of connecting to their parents who no longer know who they are. That would truly be problematic. So yeah, my mom lights up. She really does.